Folks, we're taking your calls live, 850-392-1544, or you can email us at lawcall@wnbb.com. I think we have an email question there. Let's go to that one. Yes, there we go. I wrecked while driving with my kids in my friend's car. Okay, so we're in the friend's car. It was insured, airbags deployed, and it was totaled. Other driver was at fault and cited, meaning they received a citation, received a traffic ticket. It was scary, but besides my finger being burned by the airbag and a few chest tightness, there was no long-term injury. My friend's insurance will handle the damage claim, right? Can I sue the faulty driver or the driver at fault for the trauma caused to me and my kids? And this is Paul. Paul, we're going to assume you're in Florida. We didn't get a location from that, but Brian, let's unpack that a little bit. He's in his friend's vehicle. Does PIP apply? Does no fault apply?
So the answer is obviously yes, assuming we're in Florida. Most of our clients are Florida residents, but let's say you are visiting from out of town and you're borrowing a Florida resident's car. Those personal injury protection benefits will follow you from your friend's auto insurance policy. You are going to get those benefits somewhere in the event you are a Florida resident or you are in a vehicle registered in the state of Florida. There are a couple of exceptions, like if you are in the state of Florida long enough, your insurance might conform, but that's a more detailed conversation. But the starting point is you will have those personal injury protection benefits. The at-fault driver should be responsible for everything, or their insurance company, but that gets into a very tricky question on did they have valid insurance? In Florida, you're not required to carry bodily injury insurance. So there's a lot of questions to unpack there. But the short answer is, assuming the state of Florida, you should have personal injury protection benefits. The other person, depending on their insurance, is responsible, whether or not they have assets or insurance coverage to pay for everything you guys went through is a completely new question where you should definitely contact a lawyer.
Now, Paul, there's a little nuance to what you added at the very end. There's doesn't appear to be any long-term injuries. Brian, how would that have an effect on Paul's claim, assuming that Paul and his children live in the state of Florida?
Well, I saw he said chest injury, so I will assume there is no sternum fracture or anything like that. Like, we get clients all the time who have some sort of injury here, and it might be picked up on an x-ray or a CAT scan where there is a fracture that heals and they don't realize they have any long-term issues. But in the state of Florida, you are limited to what you can recover in the event you are not permanently injured by a car wreck, and there are exceptions to that, but your limitation is essentially your out-of-pocket medical bills, lost income, future medical bills, and future diminished earning capacity, or future lost income is what we call it. So if you don't have a permanent injury, technically there's an argument that you're only entitled to out-of-pocket medical expenses. I would say on most of our car wreck cases where it's a significant injury, they're not arguing about who's at fault. They're arguing over whether or not someone sustained a permanent injury, and that's what most of the experts and doctors and everything we spend money on are arguing about. But it varies person to person, doctor to doctor. It really just depends on the wreck and the injury.
Yeah, gotcha.